What's going on? Welcome to Oil and Gears. It's been a while, but I have a doozy for you this time because the first gen stopped working. Now, I've already fixed it, but I want to try to replicate what happened just so you know what to look for if this ever happens. Now, it did take me a couple of weeks to find out what was going on, and I did ask people in the forums, and thank you for all the suggestions, but it was such an easy fix that you probably would have never thought about, and you may have almost did what I did and started changing a whole bunch of stuff before I even found out what it is. And if I would have did that and I stopped myself and tried this before I fixed it or before I started changing everything, I'm glad I didn't, because I would have got frustrated. So let's get to it. I'll show you what happened. So as you can see, I tried to start my scionxb first gen, and you can see those lights there. So the lights that are showing is the doors open and it's kind of blinking, the battery, and the oil light as well that is showing on here. And so I put in my key. I have a manual transmission, by the way. I push in the clutch, I turn the key, nothing happens. So my first instinct was, okay, the battery's dead. So what I did was I charged my battery full capacity and I tried it again, and that still happened. So I was like, battery's no good, maybe I should just go get a brand new one. Went to the store, got a brand new one, put it in, same thing. So I was like, okay, let me see if I can put the OBD2 scanner on the car and maybe there's a code, right? So I got my trusty OBD2 scanner. I plugged it in, and as you can see, the door light is the only thing that's open. So I put my key in. I was like, okay, I'm gonna scan it. Car starts. Great, I fixed the problem. But what I did was I actually had the scanner scan and there was no code. I figured, okay, let the car run for a little bit and see what happens. So I was like, great, everything's fixed. So I ended up taking the OBD2 scanner back out because I was done, right? Okay, that was a little weird. And then the light started blinking just like that. So I pushed the gas and tried to get it to go, and the car turns off. And as you can see, the lights are back on. So what I determined is that when I put the scanner in, it was somehow bridging the gap between a ground wire, right? So I asked on the forums. Rye Keto actually, suggested some things, and another person suggested that it was a ground issue. I thought it was an alternator issue. I almost changed the alternator, and I almost changed like the starter relay switch, but I figured, okay, Rye said this person said that, and let me just check the ground wires to the battery. So I went over there, I checked the ground wires, and everything seemed fine. All right, so here I am checking the ground wires. I actually took the one that goes to the frame and I sanded it down, connected it. The one here, I put it back, and same thing was happening. The ground wires were fine, the connections were fine, and nothing was working. Okay, so one thing that I failed to mention is that I checked all the fuses. I checked the fuses underneath the steering wheel. I checked the fuses in the engine bay. I tried to check the relay switches. Everything checked out. So then what I did was I disconnected every accessory that I installed. So underglow, inside the car, underneath all the dashboard and the seats, the amp for the stereo, disconnected it, and still had the same problem. So here was the problem. So, because I did check everything on the ground to the frame and the chassis, all the connections, what I ended up doing was disconnecting it here and disconnected down in the frame and just took all the wiring out. So I had redid all of this, added the blocks intake, the smaller battery. It's not the smaller battery. And redid the wiring. This is all new when I installed it. The problem was inside here, this one that goes to the chassis was connected, but for some reason kind of like maybe lodged when I was moving the battery, or I don't know how it happened. I ended up redoing the wiring here that goes to the negative terminal, and then here that goes to the chassis, and reconnected it, and the problem went away. So I'll show you that right now. I don't know. Alright, so now that we come back here, now that I had fixed all the that wiring from the ground wire of the negative terminal, you can see now that everything is hooked up, I have no lights there. And let me grab my keys. I took the OBD2 scanner out as well. And when I tried to turn it on, everything worked. Everything turned on. And this is without the OBD2 scanner on. I got most of the accessories back in. So again, even though this seemed like this was a big problem, right? My car did not start at all. And I thought it was the alternator. And then I got my multimeter and I checked the battery while it was off and it was good. I checked the battery when the car was on and the alternator is working perfectly. It's just the little things like that get you, that you have to check everything, and people on the forums will give you ideas and the correct remedy to what you're going through. And I do suggest asking on the forums or searching on the forums first and then asking, and then making sure that the little things are done. Now, there was nothing wrong with my connections for the negative part of the terminal, but it was something that I couldn't see. And so when I went in there and redid the wiring and made sure that everything was good and snug, put it back, and it fixed it. So I'm glad I didn't go and buy a new relay for the starter. I'm glad I didn't go and try to add a new alternator and then turn it on and same thing happened. I would have been so upset. But again, it's the little things, and just take your time and experiment and try to figure out. I put my OBD2 scanner on there, and then when I take it off, it turned off. People on the forums are like, it's a ground issue, and I'm like, I checked the ground and nothing's wrong. But when you have to go inspect more, that fixed the problem. So I'm glad that everything's worked. The car works now. I mean, everything's fine. So like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll see you on the flip side. Peace.